I love you.
I know.
Hello, everybody. Here we are.
Hello, everybody. Welcome
Episode
to
8. You
8.
can't see what I'm doing, I think.
No, your hands are out of the screen. Your
Episode
hands
8.
felt your hands felt perfectly out of screen. Where I basically saw two peace signs, and I was like, "This is
Ah,
not episode
not
4."
episode 4. Yes. Well,
And
episode 8, guys. We made it.
I was so confident that it was 8, and then I was just like, maybe I'm not confident.
I keep forgetting what episode it is. I
Yeah, it's
actually made
crazy.
a point to look at it before
Um,
because I
I
knew I
looked
didn't
at
want to
it.
mess up.
I looked at it on Friday. That was too long ago.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like,
so, I mean, here we can announce it. Let's announce it here. Why not? For this being episode 8, right?
yep.
For a special episode 10, we are going to be live on Twitch Tuesday, March 12th, I think it was.
I think it's the 12th, or
Yeah.
yeah, around there. That makes sense.
So we're going to do live on Twitch. We're going to play some stupid games, look like idiots. We're going to be giving away a free shirt.
You'll have opportunities to ask us questions, and
Yeah.
we'll be on the spot and have to answer them, or just ignore it. But
Yeah.
probably answer them.
Yeah. And then it'll be on the YouTubes and hopefully Spotify's on the Wednesday after. So it's good stuff. I can't wait. I'm excited for that. It's going to be
I'm
fun.
super pumped for it. I was like so pumped for it that I actually got like mixed up on when we were doing it. I was like, we're at episode 10 already. I was
I
like, but
know.
like
I thought that's why
you
I
were
thought it was episode 9. I was
you were also like somewhat
forecasting.
preparing for the
Yeah,
future, which is good on us. We talked about that a couple
we did.
podcasts ago.
But
So
when
we're
did we
living up
just
to it, guys.
let's backtrack. Let's not get too cocky. When did we figure out what we were going to talk about today?
About an hour ago.
Tops.
Hour
An
and a
hour
half.
tops.
It was so funny because I sat down and I was like, oh crap, I gotta text Danny. And Haley's like, why? I was like, we don't know what we're talking about tonight. And she's
No.
like, aren't you guys recording in like an hour or two? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
She's
Mhm.
like, you don't plan it out? And I was like, sometimes we do,
We
sometimes
used to.
we don't. And I was like, but we're gonna talk about it right now.
Yep.
And as I leaned over, went to pull my phone out of my pocket, and as my phone's like the screen's coming on from like my face looking at it, you text me.
Yeah, because I had
It
just
was
got home
literally
from
at
work.
it was literally at that exact moment. I was like, man, his ears were burning.
I had just got home from work. I'm like, all right, because we were so busy, and I was like, all right, we gotta figure out what to do. And I talked to Lizette. And she's like, you should do this. I'm like, I don't know if we can. She goes, I think you can. So I texted you. You're like, yeah, we can do it. I'm like, all right, let's go. So
It's it's funny. I had the same reaction you had, and I was like, no. And
yeah,
then Haley was like, no, you guys got this, yeah. And like came up with some stuff like on the spot. And I
yeah.
was like, oh, all right. Like
So what we're
our
going to talk about today with Valentine's Day. Today, when you're listening to this, or at least on its release, it is Valentine's Day.
yes.
And
This
what is
is our
Valentine's Day all about?
chocolate.
Yes, that's exactly it.
We're
End of
talking about
podcast.
so with that being said, everybody loves chocolate. So we're gonna
Does it?
talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So we're gonna tell some we might demoralize. I don't know, demoralize. We might not put ourselves in a great light. I don't want to put anybody else in a great light. I have one, maybe two stories of past girlfriends that I think are very funny. I will not name names,
No.
but I think I will tell you what happened with my wife and what did not. But there are some things that I just think are kind of funny to not mention because when you're younger you just say some weird things sometimes and you think it's
Yeah.
golden, but it's not.
And like I think it's like that kind of like it's funny to mention now. Like
Yeah,
it's a part of our past and it's who we've become. So
it's in
it's cool.
hindsight.
Yeah.
Honestly, without all of the stupid mistakes that I made, there's no way I could ever be with my wife and be the person that I am. She makes me better,
Exactly.
but you need to make those mistakes. So if anyone's out there and you're actually listening to think that we're going to give you advice, I don't know if it's going to happen.
No.
But the only
Don't don't
takeaway, learn from your mistakes. And not
yeah.
not mistakes meaning not like they're bad for you, but They're growing experiences. That's
I don't.
probably the only positive spin we could put on anything we're about to say.
Yeah, as a disclaimer, learn from your mistakes and maybe consider learning from other people's mistakes.
Yes.
Like, because I'm sure we have them,
Yes.
but don't take anything we say as personal advice.
It is definitely not advice. That's for sure.
Like,
So I don't know. I don't know how we want to do this. If you want to go first, I can go first. I don't know if we want to talk about exes first and then go on to how we got to where we are.
I think we should definitely talk about the past first.
Okay.
That way we look better now.
Ideally.
Let's make it a little selfish in that
Okay.
aspect.
So I'll go first.
Yeah.
There was a girl, and it's not like a huge story. I think this is just more of young ignorance. There was a girl, and we were talking for a while, and she really liked the Knicks. So I was like, "Yo, we're gonna go to a Knicks game." I surprised her. We went to a Knicks game. We had great seats. Like we were right behind like the hoop. It was great. Like they gave you the clappy thingies. We were like, "Yeah!" Like to stop the free throws. It was great. It was so much fun. And we had a really really good time. The next day, as I'm on my way to class from college, I call her. I'm like, "Hey, do you want to hang out later?" 'Cause I was like, I'm gonna ask her out tonight." And her response was literally, "Nah, I don't think I should see you anymore." I was like, "Wow."
Oof.
So
Oof.
weird. It was just bad timing. We ended up talking a few months later and dated for a little bit, but it was never like anything more than a few weeks. We were. It was. I'm not going to say why we did. I just feel like we were both trying to go against the grain and date people because we knew we shouldn't be with each other. So kids being kids is stupid. So that's my first one. It's not even that funny, other than me being
No.
extremely let down after being like, "Yo, this is going so well."
Used and
So
tossed to
bad.
the side, bro.
So bad.
Like
It was a great
that's
game though. It was fun. What's
so like
yours? That's more just an embarrassing one for me. I have one more embarrassing one, and then I believe it's all going to be kind of
so
humorous from there out.
I would be super transparent. And this is something you already know, but the
Okay.
people don't know. I was a terrible person growing up. Not in the sense that I did bad things, is that I was the king of just leading on. I was basically your ex in that situation
Yeah, yeah.
where it'd be like, oh, I want to go out to this nice place to eat. Okay. I'm gonna take advantage of that. Like that was me. Like that's my whole dating experience. I never was one to be like, oh, this is my girlfriend or
Hmm.
whatever. I just like no. Uh, but there was this one girl that I was very interested in, and we went out on a couple dates, and like it was really cool. And then like she was really close with like other people in the family, so there was times where she would just be at the house, and I did not want her there. Like, I didn't feel like seeing anyone. Like, I just wanted to, like, go home and play video games or whatever.
Yeah,
But, like, she became friends with everyone else.
yeah.
Then it was, like, weird because when I went to her and I was like, "Hey, I think we need to stop seeing each other," and she was like, "Okay, but I'm still going over for dinner this week." And I was just like, "So am I not going to my own house to eat dinner? Like, is like, did I lose, like, my
You
family?"
lost. You're done. You're done.
like so like that was like one ex, and that was like, and like she would show up to like different family events for like a little while, and it was
I
like
actually
weird.
remember her. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure I know exactly who this is, and I remember
Oh,
being
you
like,
know,
"Oh, she's mad cute. She like you should date her," and you were like, "Nah," and I had no idea what had happened
like
previously.
you were just like, yo, are you not dating? I remember they were like, are you not? It was around your wedding. He was like, are you not
Probably.
dating her? I like. Because like even Lizette was like, you don't get a plus one. I was like, I'm not dating her. Like just like she's always at the house. I was like, I know it's a problem. Like
It's so dumb.
like I know, like
It's
I know
so
she's
dumb.
always there, but
Yeah, I've never
okay.
had that, thankfully.
But everyone always blamed me because I was always just good at leading people on,
Yeah.
which is fine.
I mean, you learned from it.
Yeah, it took
Uh,
a while, but yeah.
Another one. All right, so this is the only one, the last one that I'm going to tell my exes because, um, yeah, that's why I feel like two's enough for these
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
there
Talking
was
about love, not
yeah, not
bad blood.
like exactly. So there was a person that actually worked with my mom, and
Mm.
my mom always be like, "You should talk to this girl," and I'm like, "No." And I saw her, and I was like, "Okay, try to talk to her." And then we got to talking, and I found whatever. We hung out a little bit. One time, I think we went to the mall. I honestly don't remember because it was such a weird thing. But I remember we went to the mall, or whatever. We hung out, dropped her off at the house, and I was like, "Darn it, that was a time I should have said. I should have gave my feelings." So like, I drove off. It was a good. I'm thinking maybe 2 minutes. I had to pep talk myself to turn back around. So then another 2 minutes of me keeping that pep talk, me like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna freaking do it. I texted her, I was like, "Hey, can you massage for a second?" And I told her, I didn't like pour my heart out, but I was just like, you know what? I really think I really like you. I think you're cute. Blah blah. It'd be really cool if we hung out more. And you're my girlfriend, or what? I don't know what I said. I was
Yeah.
hoping along those lines, and she just said, "Oh, thank you." And she gave me a hug, and I got back in the car, and I was like, "I have no idea what just happened. No idea." And then I called Lou and Chris, and I gave the craziest voicemail. I'm pretty sure the voicemail just got deleted recently, and this is well over 15 years ago that I gave this voicemail. I don't know what happened. I blacked out, but I remember being like, "All right, well, I'm never gonna talk to this girl." There were some things that she didn't want to get into a relationship, and I understood that.
Yeah.
Long story short, she left the country and got in another relationship. So it was not her, it was me, and I'm fine with that. But I needed that to
Yeah.
callous to be like, all right, I'm stronger now. Not on to the next, but I'm I know what to look out for
Yeah.
in a
You
relationship.
had a different set of guards to put up,
Yeah.
and then also a different set of guards to bring down, like
Yeah,
for your relationship.
exactly.
That that did happen. With one of I'm just gonna say ex because I guess
Yeah, this
uh
person was never an ex. It was just somebody that I had a
yeah,
crush on.
where it was funny because I was really into this girl, and she was kind of like she said it that she was really into me, and we talked and hung out like religiously for a while,
Hmm.
and um, but we both like she was the one that was like, I don't think either of us are really ready to date, but it's cool to have a friend. So we kind of just left it at that, and we knew that that was it. And then like one day she was just like, "All right, I'm ready to date," and I was like, "Okay," and then she's like, "Do you want to meet this guy I'm talking to?" She's like, "I wouldn't have been able to have the confidence if it wasn't for you," and I was just like,
Thank you.
"Thanks, you're welcome."
I don't
Like, all right,
know.
like,
No,
but yeah,
that
like,
sucks.
but but like I was just like, huh? Like I didn't feel that bad because like we knew that we weren't dating,
Yeah.
but at the same
But
time, like
after
we
having a
also,
talk like that, it is very misleading.
but
And I
also
think you
like,
both misled each other, her more than
yeah.
you.
Like and, like, I mean, there was, like, a whole, like, 8 months of us just misleading each other.
Exactly. That's the problem.
Oh, and which I had that problem. Like, that
Yeah.
was just whole and I honestly, I started that, like, young. I blame, um, your wife for some of that 'cause, it was yeah. Funny story. I
Okay.
think it was my sophomore year of high school.
Uh-huh.
She was picking me up from school, um, and as she's picking me up, there was this one girl that was there. She just ran out. I barely knew her. Like, this is the beginning of the school year. She was new to town, and she, like, ran up and, like, jumped in the air and, like, hugged me, like, legs wrapped around my waist and, like,
Uh-huh.
hugged me, and she was like, "I'll see you tomorrow." Then she, like, jumps off and, like, just leaves, and then Lizette was just like I get in the car, she's like, "Joshua, don't you ever let a girl jump on you like that, da 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 da," like, all this stuff, and I was just like, "We're just friends." She's like, "Friends don't hug that way." So after that, everyone was just a friend.
Well,
Like
that's what I find weird, like that interpretation of like, especially like, okay, so the show Friends, like how siblings react to each other. It's not how siblings actually act with each other. I love
no.
my sister. I will never do those things. I think I love my sister a very healthy amount, and probably we have a very healthy relationship, but those things never do. I kiss her on the cheek sometimes. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's normal Sunday. See ya. It's Christmas. I'll give a kiss to you. Merry Christmas. See you. Goodbye. Goodbye. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that type of thing. And like I feel like it also gets easily to say, "Oh, we're just friends," but it's like a weird way to try and
Yeah.
get more out of it, so you can use each other. And that's exactly what Lizette was trying to get you not to do. So
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I did. Because after that,
yeah,
every time Lizette was around, if there was like a girl in the room, I'd just be like, arm up, like,
moosh.
like, we're like arm up, arm over some random girl's shoulder. Like
That's good. All right. My
she
next
built
one.
this mess.
Yeah. My next ones are all with Lizette.
Same.
Lizette?
No, with like my wife.
Okay. Weird, bro. We just talked about siblings. So the first one is probably every summer before we had kids on her birthday, we would go to see a play on Broadway, and then we would go to this steakhouse called Del Frisco's. Incredible food. I love it. We have gone there maybe once or twice since the kids were born. It's still really, really good, so it holds up. There was one year we went, and we would usually go to Broadway play like in the afternoon. So we're eating. We'd either go before the play at like 12 or after at like 4 or whatever. So either way, I say this because there's not a lot of people in this place. You know, most New York
Yeah.
City places are popping after 6 o'clock. It was
Yeah, it's
not
the city
6
that
o'clock.
never sleeps.
Yeah,
They're up at night.
yeah. Lizette and I are the early birds, and we get there with all the old people. So that's what we did. And Lizette is a little clumsy, so we're eating. She knocked over her like water. Her like they have like a wine glass to fill with water. Knocked it over, spilled it all over the place. And the waitress was like, "Oh, it's okay, don't worry." And I was like, "Oh man, blah blah blah." I'm pretty sure we were dating. I don't think we were married. But then the next time they come around, I go, "Man, I hope I don't do it." I actually hit the glass, but this time I spilled the water and broke the glass. So they had to change the tablecloth again. So we've now cost them 2 tablecloths and a broken glass. So I was like, "Oh my god, like this is I can't believe it just happened. I'm so sorry." There goes, "No, it's okay." Mind you, we're just drinking water. It is the middle of the day. We're not drinking alcoholic beverages. We're knocking over things all over.
It's just water.
Yeah. So then we're like, all right, let's hurry up and get out of here. We're eating. I think we get dessert. Lizette knocks over another glass. I go, "Oh my god, I am so sorry." We get the check. I leave the hugest tip possible, and I'm like, "We need to get the heck out of here because this is the most embarrassing lunch of my life." It was so bad, but I
God,
still
I
go
love
back.
that.
It was just the craziest experience because I never
Yeah.
spill, and she never spills more than once. But it was like we were competing with each other. She won, but
Yeah.
sucked.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all, though.
Oh my god, it was
At
miserable.
all.
It's a good
I
story to tell,
think
though.
I think one of my favorite stories of me and Haley was our first official date.
Okay.
Um, it didn't start as a date, which is why like I did the little quotations on that one. Um, it was we planned to go to a church service together, and then we were gonna go to a young adults lunch
Mhm.
at after church. So while we're at lunch, everyone's just like, "Oh, so when did this start? When did this start?" And I'm immediately shutting down. Like,
It's uncomfortable.
because go back to my history, I don't have a girlfriend. I've never had a
Yeah.
girlfriend. I've just had friends. So like, "Oh, are you guys a couple now?" All this stuff, and I'm just like, I just immediately want to say no.
Yeah.
I was like, because that's just me.
Reflex. Yeah.
And Haley's like, "Yeah, this is actually like our first date." And she looks at me and she goes, "I think we're gonna try to go to the movies later." And
Did
I
you
was
know
like,
that?
I did know that
Okay.
we were going to the movies. Um, it was like on the docket of possible things to happen.
Okay.
That just kind of locked in. I'm like pulling out my phone and like looking up AMC showtimes, like,
Yeah.
um, and then while we're there, like everyone leaves. I run into a couple people I know, and she's just like, everywhere we've gone, you've known like multiple people, and I was just like, yeah, it just happens. Uh, so then we go to the movie theater, Garden State.
Of course.
I run into 4 more people that I know. And she's just like, "Oh my god, is this just gonna be an all the time thing?" And I'm just like, "Well, I guess, like, if we're actually dating, like, this is something you're just gonna have to get used to." Like, I just people just know me. Like I don't
Yeah.
even know how or
Especially
why,
that
but
area. That's like
whatever.
where you grew up. So
So we go to the movies. I forget what movie it was. I think it was Spider-Man.
okay.
One of them.
Andrew
One of the 20.
Garfield. Hey, how long have you
Oh,
been together?
6 years, 7 years.
Oh, so it's still Tom Holland. It's Tom
Yeah,
Holland Spider Man.
maybe.
Okay, well I feel like you
Um,
should know, but I know my
I don't
first
know.
date with Lizette movie.
I don't remember what movie I watched this morning.
Our first date, which was probably not really a date, we saw Rango. It sucked, but I remember it very well.
And that, but I remember going to Haley, but I'm like, after the movie, she's like, "Oh, I'm hungry." I was like, "All right." I was like, "Yeah, let's go out to eat." I was like, "But I'm gonna be honest, like, I'm super anxious right now, and I think I need like a third wheel because I've never been on a date, let alone been on one that's gone on for like 8 hours."
Yeah, yeah,
So we meet up with my buddy Nick and get juicy platters over in Fairlawn.
nice.
And she was fine with it because she could tell, like we were actually talking about it earlier. She was like, "You were so nervous that entire day," and I was like, "Yeah," because you were like, "Yeah, we just started dating," and I'm like, "No, I just go out with people." Like,
Yeah,
and it's like I needed a buffer. I needed like something there, and then we go out to eat, and we run into like 7 or 8 more people that I knew.
yeah.
She
I
was just
don't.
like, she was kind of annoyed at the end of the night. I drop her off home, and I was like, "I'm sorry, I ran into so many people that we know that I know." It really is just like what happens. And she's like, "It's okay. We could go out again this week. What do you think?" So we went out to eat, and she picked the restaurant, which was this hibachi place by her house that we
Love
used to go to.
hibachi.
That we used to go. That was like our routine kind of like date in the beginning.
Hmm.
Was like every couple weeks we'd go to hibachi, which was nice because I've never been there before. So I literally never knew anyone there.
Yeah, yeah.
And so like that was like kind of like our like routine. We kind of fell into that like routine, like date place type thing, which was
Yeah.
like what we did for a couple years, which was
Hmm.
nice.
One thing that we always like to do are we go to the movies, or we used to go to the movies all the time. We've recently, maybe not recently, maybe for the last 4 or 5 years, um, we tried to do like the cheapest dates possible, and we found this thing where it's like preview movies, and you go to GSP and they take your phone, you wait in line, you go see a movie that may or may not come out, and then you fill out some paperwork, and then you leave. And it's usually pretty fun. We saw a movie. It might have been the first one we ever saw. I think it was called Gotti or whatever, John Gotti. John Travolta was in it. The movie was not terrible, but for this particular movie, we decided to be part of the smaller focus group at the end, where they would ask questions, and they would shape the movie to that, allegedly.
Yeah.
So things are happening, and I'm like, babe, I'm like, this song doesn't make sense because this song didn't come out around this time, and I'm like nitpicking like that. Like that's
Yeah,
how
yeah,
I
yeah.
nitpick a movie, because like if you want it to be a timepiece, you can pick a song, but it can't be that song. I'm just very particular. I'd
Yeah,
rather it
but it makes
not
sense.
be. I'm pretty sure it was like a Metallica song. Like, this Metallica song didn't come out yet. They shouldn't be playing this song. And it gets to the end, and I'm like, I don't want to, but I'm gonna voice that my opinion on that, because I think it was stupid and it ruins the movie. And then this one guy goes, "Oh yeah, I really like the music. That Metallica song was awesome. I love that song." And everyone's like, "Yeah!" And I'm like, I am not raising my hand. This is not the thing I'm going to do, because I'm right. I know that I'm right. But I'm not going to voice. And Lizette was like, "Yeah, you're better off not saying it." But those cheap dates, we once did one where we saw a free movie and we got free Chick-fil-A because of all the points we had before. So we literally went on a dinner and a movie date for no money.
It's
Check it
awesome.
out. Preview movies. I don't know what it is, but now if you're listening to this on your phone, you're going to get preview movie ads, and you're welcome.
Yep.
You're
Gonna get a
welcome.
random gonna get a random email.
It's going to be great. Trust me, it's totally worth it. Those dates are the best. We've seen
I,
a few movies. I've never seen it again to see if that cut made it, but I don't even care enough. I don't care.
I love it. We do. that was funny. We were talking about that because I asked Haley. I was like, "What is like your favorite date that we've gone on?" I asked her, and she was like, "I think the one where we became like official when we were out in Connecticut. That was really nice." And I was like, "Yeah, that was a really good one." And she's like, "But I love like how like we don't go out for dates a lot, but we'll turn like random moments together into a date. Like, oh, it's we have extra time on like this evening, like no work, no stream, no nothing. Like, oh, all right, cool. Like, we'll go and we'll get like a steak or like some seafood, and we'll make a nice dinner at home. And it's just like we'll do like I call it like a bougie cheap night.
Hmm.
Like we'll get like a nicer, we'll cook nice dinner, we'll watch like a movie and stuff. And just like we'll both like put our phones on do not disturb. Like it's just like it's a moment for us, and like we do that like as frequently as we can.
Yeah.
Um, Especially since I'm like a workaholic and I'm always on my phone.
Movie
Like
nights at home though are such easy date nights,
yeah,
especially if
and
you
like,
both
it's
like movies, obviously.
yeah, and it's nice, like we'll like do a different dinner than like a standard dinner or whatever,
Yeah.
like a little bit extra type thing, which is cool.
Our go-to is always junk food. It's always like I want mozzarella sticks, she wants jalapeno poppers, I want buffalo wings, she wants I don't know. That's usually what it is. Like that's our date night at home is just junk food because that's what we used to do when we were dating and now it just carries
Yeah.
over.
So one of like neither of us really like care, I guess, like for the junk food. For me, I'm picky about it.
Mhm.
So it's like, oh, if I'm gonna do something different at home, it's like I'm gonna go spend my $20 for like junk food on one really nice steak,
Yeah.
or and then like whatever sides we have at home is what I'm throwing together with it. Like, and I'm doing that. Except for our anniversary, we do have like our dating anniversary. We do have a nice tradition, which we make a Rochester, New York style garbage plate, and
Which
we
I
do,
oh,
and we do
you send the picture and I hate it every time. It is not appeasing to me at all.
and I'll send you another one in August.
I do not enjoy it.
And we'll do that, and we'll just, like we both pick a movie, and it's, like, one of those, like, we don't say no.
Mhm. Oh,
So it's
God, I
like
wish Lizette would do that. I have to beg
and
to watch a scary movie.
but, like, I was gonna say, you would wanna pick a scary movie,
Yeah.
which if either of us pick a scary movie, we're both cool with it.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, I think it was 2 years ago, she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna pick your movie." And I was like, "No, that's not how it works." And she's like, "We could watch Fast and Furious." And I was, like, super pumped, and we ended up watching the first 3, and I
Ugh.
was like, "This is the best anniversary ever." Uh, and I think she was miserable, but she knew I
Yeah.
really wanted to watch them with her,
Yeah.
so she did.
We sometimes pick a scary movie. Like sometimes I'll get away with it. I try to look into it to make sure it's not too scary because I'm like, if it's scary, maybe we're watching the day. By the nighttime, she'll be less scared. But she's the kind of person where she could have a nightmare for a week. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's just it's how. I think it's in your guys' brain. Like that's just how you all function. Because it's definitely not me.
Not me. Oh, well, not with scary movies.
Yeah.
With life? Absolutely.
um, I think I have a
I
few
have
other.
real nightmares.
I don't remember. We could talk about this later. I don't remember dreams. I
Oh,
have very few dreams in my life, and I don't remember them.
that's a whole podcast.
That is a whole podcast. We could do some deep diving into it. I think that's something we could do. Um, I have a few other examples, but this is the last one that I probably want to like really end with, and it's probably the best date I've ever been on, and the most nerve wracking date, and it was literally how I proposed to Lizette. Um,
I I had a feeling you were gonna bring this up, and I wanted to bring this up for myself too, so
Yeah, because
cool.
so what happened was, if you backtrack, I started saving for the ring in January of the year I was going to propose. Valentine's Day comes that year, and I did not get her great flowers because they were cheaper. I didn't know how to go to Whole Foods and buy cheap ones. I didn't. I went to 1-800 Flowers and bought her flowers. So she literally sat me down that Valentine's Day.
Rookie move.
It is a rookie, bro. I never bought anybody flowers before. I didn't know this lifestyle that I currently lead. All right.
I have a funny flower story too.
So in February, she was like, "These are hospital flowers," and I was like, "I'm sorry, I picked them out online. Like they were affordable. Like I'm trying not to spend a lot of money." I didn't know that she was very, very upset, but she also didn't know that I was saving for a ring. Had I known now, I could have got her much more flowers through Whole Foods, but whatever. So now I've been saving the ring for 6 months or whatever, and I planned this date that she has no idea about. We're just gonna go out to a Greek place in Edgewater, which is right by the skyline, by
Yep.
the Hudson River. So we go there, we go eat. I'm freaking out the entire time. I'm shaking. I'm like sweating. When I get nervous, I get like really jittery. Like, oh yeah, yeah, huh? Like I look like I have chills and like I'm freezing and I have a fever, but I'm just super nervous. Um, so the whole time goes. We go to the park. Some guy uh is we're sitting on the bench. Some guy's like, hey, can I draw you? We're like, yeah. So he draws us. Um, and then Lizette's like, this is really weird. We should leave. I go, okay, but don't you want to see the picture first? And she's like, yeah. So he's like, all right, let me show you the picture. He turns it around, and it's a picture of me on my knee, which I was not on my knee, and Lizette looking at me. So she was like, oh my god. And then when she looked at me, that's when she's just walking in the house now. That's when she saw me on the knee. She was like, her response was, why today? It was terrible. It was probably the worst response that she could have provided. Meanwhile, I'm all teary eyed and it was like the worst thing. There are so many other things that happened on that day that she had no idea were driving me insane. She lived a few blocks away and I drove to her house to pick her up and the door was locked and I didn't have my key. So I'm like trying to get her to open the door and she's like, just use your key. So I drove back home. Drove back like so many things that just
And
drove
like,
me insane. Like this is all going to go south. Thank God it didn't. She said yes ultimately. And we're still married. And it's a nice little story. It's so much longer than that, especially if she tells it. I would
it's
like
so
to
much
interject.
longer.
I will let her tell a story, and then I'll just interject my perception of it because she's like, "Oh, it was so sweet," and I'm like, "You ruined almost every single moment of that." But all turned out
Yeah.
well. The best date, most nervous I've ever been in my life. But I mean, that's the part where we said, you learn from your mistakes. Everything that we've spoken about up until now has got to that point, and now keep going.
Yeah. Um,
The worst.
I, my so about a year before I proposed,
Hmm.
one day, Haley asked me, so she's like, I know we're gonna get married one day or whatever, but I also know that like whatever you're thinking for a proposal is um way too much and way too complicated than for what I want. Like, so what are you thinking? I want to make sure that like you don't overwork and overdo stuff for something that doesn't need to whatever.
Hmm.
So I was like, oh, in my head I've always like, pictured we'll go on a nice date. Um we'll go down the shore because we're always talking about how we want to go down the shore, but we never go down the shore. I know a couple nice places. We'll do like a fire on the beach in the evening and I propose. And she's like, that sounds disgusting. She's like, "That sounds like the absolute worst day of my life." And I was like,
Wow.
"Okay."
I'm glad I
Like,
talked about this.
so glad we talked about this. And so that's like my horror story of how I wanted to propose. Like, because I actually had that set up, like to be able to
Jeez.
do all that stuff. And I was just like, all right, like time to rethink.
So did she
Um,
ever give you pointers like this is what I want, or did she give you like an outline?
so here, so I asked her like then, like the year before, I was like, so what is like the perfect proposal for you? She's like, I don't really know. I wanna be alone. Like, I want it to be us, like, I want it to be, like, special. She's like, "But I kinda would love it if, like, our family was there, a part of it, or if, like, we were able to celebrate, like, immediately after."
Hmm.
Um, which we kind of did all of that.
Yeah, I think so.
Uh, so I remember, like, when I was telling, like, her parents and, that I'm getting ready to propose and whatever, like, "Oh, do you know when?" And I was like, "Yes." And they're like, "What?" And I was like, "I have the date and the time."
And here's the schedule, and
'Cause
here's the link.
and I was like and they're like, "Okay, so what are you gonna do?" And I was like, "So, it was a week before I did the first stream with her."
Hmm.
And I was like, "So it's really all tentative on how this goes, because on this day, I'm streaming with her, and if it goes well, then on this date, in the morning. It's a Saturday. I don't have the exact time just yet, but this Saturday morning, I'm going to stream with her again, and I'm going to propose to her on stream. And they're like, okay, that's different. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, because I feel like it kind of meets all the criteria. She's like, and her mom was like, what's that? And I was like, well, she wants her family part of it. She wants my family part of it. But she also kind of wants to be alone. And I was like, and I definitely don't want anyone in the room when I ask because I'm just going to fall apart.
Yeah.
So, like, I feel like all you guys can watch. You guys, like, you could send the link to everyone, send it to the whole family. I don't care. And you guys could watch the stream. And then towards the end of the stream, I'm gonna propose. And they're like, okay. And I had the ring the first night I streamed because I was like, maybe I just want to get this over with
Yeah.
because like I was nervous, like because I was so anxious about everything, and I didn't. And then me and you had like kind of talked and like kind of like figured it all out. And the worst was like you were there, so
hmm
halfway through the stream cut out,
Yeah. And I ran
and it was
downstairs.
and apparently it was just like seconds to me. That like off stream time felt like an eternity.
Yeah.
Like I just
That's why I
remember,
ran down though, because I was
I
like, this
just
guy's
remember
freaking out.
sweating, wanting to cry, and Haley's just like laughing because like we're still playing the game. The game
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
cut out. The stream stopped, and you come down and you're just like, it's okay. And like whatever came back on, you run upstairs, and I was just like, all right, we're gonna end the stream. Like we streamed for like 5 more minutes after that cut
Yeah.
out. And I proposed, and like she just cried, and then she looked at me, and then I asked her if that's a yes, and then she's like yes, and she doesn't believe me. She says yes right away, but it's on Instagram. You could
Yeah.
watch it. She does not say yes right away.
Lizette,
Um,
the Lizette didn't give me. Lizette just said I want a story, so I had to come up with a story. At least you had
I had
parameters, kind of.
yeah, parameters a little bit of like this is what, and like, but she also knew that like I wanted it to be alone,
Yeah,
which is why like for me I just really, not that I wanted it to be alone. I wanted it to be a surprise.
yeah. Well, I think we
Especially
both succeeded in surprises because we
because
both
we
got a
talked,
true gasp.
especially like for me and her, like we talked about it for like over a year getting engaged. So like
Yeah,
I felt like surprising her was going to be pretty hard.
yeah.
Um, but I just wanted it to be a surprise, and I pulled that off. And like it was also recorded, which I think is my favorite part. The fact that I
hmm
like people saw like it wasn't weird that you streamed it, and I was like, no, it was a free recording of my
Yeah.
engagement that
Well,
like
that
we have
was
forever.
like with my guy. Like I met him a week or two before, and he drew me on my knee. Like so, he didn't have to draw that. He just drew Lizette. So she didn't understand that aspect. I actually almost blew it the week before because she thought I was working late, and I wasn't working late. I was driving in Hoboken to pick the guy up, and I was in the Jeep, and I hit a bump, and I go, oh, and she's like, you okay? I was like, yeah, some guy at work. Like I had to make up something, which I'm not a good liar, so I don't know how that got away
You're
with
not.
it. But I think the surprises were there, and I feel like if that's all that they want, we did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did. So
Um,
have you gotten better at buying flowers
I think so.
in general?
I've tried to do it more for not just like special occasions. I try to do it like ever so often. It's been a little lackluster lately. Hopefully I'm sure she's coming down not right now. Of course she is. Unbelievable. Either way. Um,
I should have bought you flowers.
but so I think we can end with this. And I have one last question that Lizette
Okay.
specifically asked me. She was like,
Okay.
you need to ask Josh this question. And I'm going to put you on the spot.
Go for
So
it.
here we go. You ready? She said, how many girls did you take to Build-A-Bear?
4.
4? Okay. That's not as
4.
bad. I
Yeah.
expected so much more than 4.
Well, because after they started calling me out on the Build-A-Bear thing, I had to change it up.
Yeah, I started to know the cashier is like, oh, hey, Josh, who's this chick? And you're like, just a
You
friend.
still work here? Like
I got to find out who
4.
else is on this shift.
4 Build-A-Bears. That
God,
was
that's awesome.
that was a great
You know what? It's solid. I take my kids
first date,
there.
I guess.
Sure,
I don't
I
know.
guess. I mean, you're romantic. What can I say? I don't know if that means
I,
romantic. I don't know.
I've never taken my wife there.
Maybe that's good. Maybe that's a good sign. Does she know that
Yeah.
others have gone to Build-A-Bear? Or she will if
She
she listens to the
knows.
podcast.
She knows that that was my thing to take girls to Build-A-Bear. She also knew that one of the girls' senior prom, all of the Build-A-Bears showed up.
Wow. All of
So
the Build-A-Bears?
all of them. All of the girls brought their Build-A-Bears to prom.
Wow. You made that much of an impression.
And I
Or at
think
least
that
the
was the
Bears
big
did.
that was the big turnout where I realized it's like,
I don't want to say
oops.
this, but you
Like,
were
oops.
sowing your Build-A-Bear seed a little thick there, buddy. You were pouring them out like all willy-nilly.
I thought it was weird when I got the text. They're like, "Oh, bring, I have a Build-A-Bear turkey," and they're like, "Oh, bring it the turkey," and I was like, "Oh, well, the girl I was going with, not them." I didn't know that the rest of them were gonna have their
Yeah.
Build-A-Bears
Oh
and
my
be there,
god. And you're like,
and I think there was more pictures of the stuffed animals around that formal than actually like people.
wow. Well, you're a real piece of work there, sir.
See,
And with that, I think we're pretty done. That's our love session. So Dr. Danny and Dr. Josh have given you lessons, I think. And take it with what you will. Leave in the comments if you have any fun stories.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone has, whether awkward or awesome, everyone has them, and
everyone
you learn
has a
from them
story.
regardless. Yeah. So
Yep.
I love to hear them. Actually, I won't say that I love to hear them because in so like a show like The Office, I love the awkwardness of The Office, and I'm okay. However, we started watching another show. I won't name its name, but these people were trying to teach each other how to kiss by eating a cupcake, and it was
Was it weird?
so it was so cringe, dude. I'm literally like, and that's like, you're so weird, and I'm like, obviously I
This
am.
is
Like, this
weird.
is
Like,
not
this
for
is
me.
weird.
She's like, I deal with this stuff all day. Like, this is not that bad. I go, no, this is weird. Like,
It's
people
bad.
do weird things. Like, I know you work with students of people that also do weird things, but not in
No,
my world. I mean,
no.
yes, in my world they do weird things, but not this. Like, this is strange. I also just gave a really
And
weird story of now nobody knows what my wife does, and now they're just like, what does she mean?
what?
She's.
And you know what? Don't even answer it. Don't
I
answer
feel
that
like I
question.
have to. I'm
No,
put her in
no,
a bad
no,
spot.
no, no. Don't answer the question. Let it
Well,
ride.
episode 9 is gonna be the one where I get yelled at by my wife. Sorry,
I'm still
guys.
gonna be there, so it's fine. Buy her some flowers.
I guess. Well, with that being said, episode 8 has come to a close. Please,
Happy Valentine's Day.
happy Valentine's Day. Um, like, share, subscribe, comment, definitely comment. If you made it this far, good grief, 43 minutes about our
If you made it this
nonsense
far,
love stories.
thank you.
If you made it this far, I think you're one of us, obviously.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
so yeah, let us know your favorite story. You can always reach us out on any of the Instagrams or any of the we have one Instagram.
Any of the Instagrams.
Any of the
Any of our
socials down
social
there.
medias.
Down there. Oh my god, this is so difficult. You point down. It's on your side. Left hand. Your other left hand. There you go. Move more in. Nope. Yeah, put your right hand down. Yeah, there we go. Those socials right there. Now swipe it side to side. Further to your left. Yeah, there we go. All those socials. We'll hit you. We'll be there. Hit us up on any one of them. Yeah. So thank you so much for taking a huge chunk of your day or days. I don't know how you listen to this. Sometimes it takes me days to listen to a podcast.
Maybe we were the soothing sounds of your ride to work. Who knows?
Soothing?
Hysterical? Manic?
Hysterical? Manic? I like manic. That sounds about right.
Manic sounds to your ride to work.
With
Like,
that
I don't
being
know how-
said, thank you so much for hanging out. We'll see you next time. And as always,
We love you.